Well, it is Good Neighbor Week, and we always want to be a good neighbor, but now we've learned that we want to be even better, and we want to be an engaged neighbor. And I have David Burton here with me once again. Hi, David.
Hi, great to be here.
So all week we've been talking about what it means to be an engaged neighbor. Why should someone be an engaged neighbor versus a good neighbor? Why is that so important?
Yeah, there really is a difference, and being engaged actually leads to more involvement in the community, more involvement civically. It adds social capital to your own life, and it gets your neighbors more involved as well. And we need that. That is missing. That's part of this loneliness epidemic that we have and the isolation epidemic we have, and it's the best way to combat those.
And honestly, we talk about mental health all the time, and having a good neighbor to rely on can help with that.
Oh, sure it can. Sure it can. We all have needs, and we have that need for human contact, of course, and it doesn't have to be daily heart-to-hearts by any means, but one of the principles we talk about with engaged neighboring is just doing more front yard living. Just making yourself available and visible. I've had many front yard conversations and opportunities to serve a neighbor in another way just because I was available, just because I was visible.
So take your cup of coffee onto the front porch. Go read a book in your lawn chair.
Sure. If you really want to get wild and crazy, put a turquoise table in your front yard. That's a whole national movement, is these turquoise tables that people gather at in their front yards.
It's a conversation starter.
It is, absolutely. But we have some principles that I've come to call the engaged neighbor principles on our website. People can take an engaged neighbor pledge with those principles, but some of them are basic. Learn your neighbors' names, find ways to use your neighbors' names, find opportunities to share food and eat with your neighbors, listen to your neighbors. I didn't always do such a good job of listening. I always came ready to talk about my things or talk about me, and didn't always take time to listen to people's stories. And when you do, that gives you a real appreciation for their background, their experience, and where they're coming at from things. I've learned some amazing things about my neighbors, and that have really helped me to appreciate them even more by listening. Remember to focus on gifts and talents. I think that's important. We're so geared towards seeing problems and things, but we really need to be geared more toward seeing the gifts and talents that are in our neighbors. And in our own neighborhood, we need to be more geared toward looking at what is strong, not what is wrong. That's kind of a basic principle of community development, looking for those strong areas that we can improve upon. So those are all some examples of some of those principles that are in our pledge.
I love that principle. So, if your tree's hanging on my side of the fence, don't sweat it.
Don't sweat it. If it's leaning and it looks like it's going to fall over, like mine did this last week, you can take that as an opportunity to do something fun with your neighbor. People often, when they come to some classes or they come to a program, I'm going to go home and plan a block party. And I'm not saying you need to go plan a block party for 100 people.
It doesn't have to be a rager.
It does not. Start much simpler than that. I'm saying really find ways to incorporate your neighbors in your daily routine. And things that you're already doing. So I've got a tree hanging over the fence. I'm going to cut the limbs. Well, how about calling the neighbor who's on their side of that fence and you all cutting together or talking about that together? I have found that lots of times those jobs are like a 10-minute job, but it leads to an hour-long conversation. And it's the conversation ends up being much more important than cutting that tree limb.
And then you guys can go take care of that together.
Yeah, you take care of it together. So you're not playing something special. You just find ways to engage them in your regular routine.
And you're not having a screaming match. You're actually creating another relationship.
Yes, yeah.
A good one.
Yeah, there's an attorney on the East Coast that deals with just legal problems between neighbors.
Really?
And he always says that the number one reason to get to know your neighbors is for prevention. So that when there is a problem that arises, you're able to talk out that problem without coming to blows or something.
Yeah.
If it's a barking dog and you already have a working relationship or a good relationship with your neighbor, that's a different conversation than if you just go over and knock on the door of somebody you've never spoke to and you say, make your dog shut up.
Yeah, there are different ways that you go about those conversations if you know the person.
Absolutely. Two totally different examples, and the outcome is going to be very different in both of those as well.
This is some great advice, David. Where can people go for more information about these principles?
Well, the engageneighbor.com, you can use that address, and the principles for the Engaged Neighbor Pledge is right at the top of that page.
Sounds great. And if you'd like more information on Good Neighbor Week, go to ky3.com. David, thanks so much.
Thank you.